Hey guys, welcome to this doomed world. And the doom is for one decision that shouldn't have been made in the first place. The red team will invite Somalia to their alliance. They shouldn't have done that. Except they're keeping the secret for a couple of days. But then guess what happened? Ethiopia attacked Djibouti, Somalia, and Kenya. Kenya and Somalia are in alliance. Kenya is the only public alliance, but Ethiopia thought that they wouldn't get involved in Kenya. But then imagine their surprise when both the Chinese and, well, not Chinese, Russian and American alliances declared war on them, beginning a world war. So let me get the sides up real quick and I'll unpause it when it's done. Okay, here is the I did all the teams, but just so you know, I changed the colors of the countries to make their color on the alliance map mode. But just so you know, the Chinese alliance is not a third party. They were the aggressor. The Russian team is not the aggressor. They're a defendant like NATO, well, the WDO or whatever I called it. But anyway, I'm going to start from west to east. So I don't know why I zoomed in on Europe. But I'll go over here to there, and I should probably change this to the yellow control map thing because there is not a red country over here. The NATO will begin moving into and Nicaragua, and they'll take Nicaragua, and then they'll land in Cuba and take Cuba too, and also this island that belongs to Cuba, but I forgot to color in as Cuban. And then they'll also push into Venezuela, but they won't fully capitulate Venezuela yet because, well, there's the Amazon rainforest. But they will push a little, well, not a little, a lot, and almost, well, maybe they did. I don't know where Venezuela's capital is. But um, back, I think that's all for the Western Hemisphere for now. Well, this is technically this bit of Europe is, and Africa's technically part of the Western Hemisphere, but there's nothing there either. So I'll start with Europe. NATO troops will take Kaliningrad and move into Belarus, even though Russia didn't do anything against them. But anyway, well, they did do stuff against them, but they didn't do anything to provoke a war at this point. But anyway, NATO troops will go into Belarus. However, um, Russian troops will not do that. They will do this. What the heck? Okay, they'll do this and take the Donbass region of Ukraine. You know the Ukraine. Yeah, okay. And then down here, not really anything happening for Tunisia or Morocco or Nigeria because there's no one to fight. Tunisia will, well, Tunisia has something, but Tunisia will push a little bit into um Libya, but not a lot. And then, but the Libyans will also not do anything because they can't because they're getting invaded from two sides. As the Egyptians begin pouring in from the east and take Benghazi and Tobruk or whatever that city over there is called. And then there's this, which is the Central African Republic, South Sudan, and Ethiopia will begin moving into Sudan. Someone is preparing for this. But anyway, that and they'll take Djibouti, who wasn't even any part of any alliance in the first place. And then they'll move into Somaliland, who are happy that the Ethiopians are coming because they want independence, but then the Ethiopians don't say they're gonna give them independence, so then they're angry. And then the Ethiopians begin pouring even farther into Somalia and they die. And Kenya, who is completely surrounded, also cannot do anything. And so they just surrender, hoping not to get completely annexed. Up here, it's Well, the Arabs do that. Not sure. But anyway, the Arabs also push into Yemen. Well, Yemen is Arabic, but the NATO Arabs will push into Yemen and and then Army and also Iran. Iraq dies because why? How can they live in this situation? And a small Azerbaijani Georgian force will push into there. But over here, it's a little different. Now, there isn't a lot of fighting happening between the yellow and reds in Asia anyway, but the yellows will push a tiny bit into Iran and as well as Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. Anyway, they'll also push into South Korea, but it's a very tiny push that nobody cares about, except for the South Koreans and the North Koreans, obviously. But anyway, yeah. India is kind of surrounded, and this is going to be hard for them, which is why they're about to do something that they probably shouldn't do. Shouldn't. You should not do this. Boom. Oh, wait, no, that looks like the ocean. No, they did not flood Karachi. Boom. Any guesses what that is? Well, India will fire two nuclear weapons at Pakistan, one in Karachi, one in Islamabad, as well as a couple on Pakistani military bases on the Indian border. And then India will start moving troops into Pakistan. What the heck? Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Okay, into Pakistan. But then something happens that India wasn't suspecting, but probably should have been. Because you think you can just get away with firing a nuclear weapon at somebody? No. Pakistan will fire nuclear weapons, though most of them miss their targets, though India is very populated. So some major areas are hit, but yeah, that. India responds with just nuking random places in Pakistan, and then that happens in India. And then um both countries' military programs kind of collapse, and then fighting on this front just pauses. So um the Chinese see what's happening in India, and they're like, we do not want to go there right now because then we're gonna get nuked as well. So they focus on Southeast Asia, helping their ally Myanmar, Burma, however you want to say it, march into Thailand and Vietnam. They also take Hong Kong and Hainan, which should be theirs. They also land in the southern part of Taiwan, but are unable to take not Taipei for the time being. And that will do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.